At the beginning, everything happens in the present. The world crumbles in the news, the call you feared arrives, a plan shatters like glass, the body trembles. You close your eyes. There is no external life preserver, no immediate promise. And yet, beneath the noise, something steady breathes. It is small and quiet, but it holds. It does not shout, it does not negotiate, it does not flee, it is with you. In this night without handrails, you discover a refuge that depends neither on weather nor calendar. It does not come from outside. You activate it right now, here, with 5 keys the tradition has kept for centuries. They do not promise magic, they show you ground. With them the chaos does not vanish, but it stops deciding for you. That is the story, in the present. A collapse outside, a return inside, a city on fire, a heart learning to stand. When everything falls apart, the mind compulsively searches for an exit, toward control, toward distraction, or toward combat. Buddhism proposes another map. Look at the cause of suffering, understand its nature, and train habits of lucidity that do not depend on the world obeying you. We are not talking about resignation, but about training. Small causes, deep effects. These 5 keys are not dogmas. They are tools proven by generations of human beings who also lost, trembled, and yet learned not to break inside. If you pull on these threads in the middle of collapse, the waves will not disappear, but a boat will appear. The city buzzes like a swarm. Elevators carry stories up and down, phones hand out shocks, headlines change masks, but not their edge. In this scene, the common enemy has many faces: uncertainty, comparison, helplessness, fear of loss, memory of old wounds. Sometimes it arrives with the voice of guilt, other times dressed as wounded pride, other times with the thirst for elegant revenge. We are not going to pretend strength. We are going to build refuge. 5 keys, 5 ways to plant a column when the roof comes down. First key, anchor the body so the mind does not drag you away. Collapse begins in the head and ends in the breath. The body is the harbor you forget when everything happens too quickly. Return. Sit, if you can, with a kind spine, feet touching the floor like discreet roots. Inhale silently, counting to 4. Exhale, counting to 6. Repeat. The long exhale tells the nervous system you are not prey. Feel the weight of your tongue drop from the palate, the warmth in your palms, gravity settling your shoulders. Let the air do what you cannot do by will. Lower the foam. It is modest and it is powerful. In monasteries, before any sutra, the body takes its seat. Without an inner chair, there is no possible reading of life. Sometimes the wave is high. Do not argue with the wave. Name it softly. Fear is here, anger is here, sadness is here. Not I am fear, but fear is here. That small shift in language returns agency to you. The guest is not the owner of the house. The body, with its ancient rhythm, reminds you that life continues in the simple in and out of breath. When the great speeches crack, the breath is the most honest prayer. Second key, face the cause without inventing myths. Suffering grows when you adorn it. The wounded mind loves stories that enlarge the wound. This always happens to me. No one understands me. Everything collapses because The Dharma offers a scalpel. See what is, no more and no less. Brief question without drama. What exactly hurts? What concrete event occurred? What is under your control now and what is not? It is not coldness, it is mental hygiene. With that clarity, emotion finds a container and stops overflowing where it does not belong. Remember the principle. Every experience is a condition, not a sentence. Like a cloud, like a trace of scent, like an echo. In ancient words, impermanence. It does not mean your losses do not matter. It means no emotion has the right to kidnap your eternal identity. In wars and plagues, in bankruptcies and griefs, there were those who repeated this truth not to anesthetize themselves, but to avoid sinking. You are not the earthquake. You are the one who holds the candle while it shakes. Third key, replace reaction with attention through a small vow. When everything burns, reacting seems natural, shouting, accusing, seeking culprits, vanishing from yourself. Reaction usually multiplies the splinters. Attention, in contrast, reduces harm. Make a minimal, concrete, visible vow that lasts a day or an hour. For example, today I won't respond to messages in the heat of the moment. Today I will walk 10 minutes before deciding. Today I won't check headlines before I breathe. Today I will ask one specific person for help. The vow does not make you a hero, it makes you skillful. You transform impulse into deliberate gesture. The sutras call it training. We will call it honest practice. This vow is the thread that keeps you together when you want to break. Write it down, repeat, fail and return. Strength does not lie in not falling, but in returning to the vow without humiliating yourself. Practice builds a silent muscle. With it, life begins to obey again, not your wishes, but your dignity. Fourth key, turn compassion into a tool, not an ornament. When everything collapses, the mind locks itself on the island of self. It is understandable, but that island becomes a prison. Compassion opens windows. It is not a corny concept. It is a survival technology. Start with yourself. Place one hand on your chest, the other on your abdomen, and tell yourself softly as you would speak to a frightened child, I'm with you. You are not failing because you tremble. You can rest a little. That voice does not lie, does not exaggerate, does not promise what it cannot. It flattens the panic curve. Then widen the circle even by a centimeter. Remember that tonight someone in your neighborhood or across the sea feels a similar wound. Wish for that person what you wish for yourself, that the pain not turn into hatred, that a hand appear, that the body find a pillow. This expansion does not deny your pain, it depersonalizes it enough for it to breathe. A mind less occupied with itself suffers less from itself. Fifth key, honor meaning even if the result does not come. There are days when you do everything right and still lose. Buddhism does not promise control over the board. It offers meaning in the moves. Choose an intention that does not depend on winning. For example, may what I think, say, and do today lessen harm, even if no one applauds it. This intention is a refuge because it does not abandon you when the world does not respond. The ancient word is right purpose. Not a market objective, but a moral direction that accompanies you when the social GPS goes dark. If today you must decide amid smoke, use the compass of lesser harm. If you can, choose what reduces suffering here and now, even a little. Ethics is not a statue, it is a rope on a suspension bridge. You grasp it and cross. You grasp it again on the next plank. Nothing more. We could end here. But collapse asks for more than 5 sentences. It asks for images to hold on to, stories to recognize yourself in, minimal gestures to repeat without thinking when everything hurts. Images for refuge. Imagine a house with cracks. In the courtyard, a fig tree. The wind breaks a branch, rain enters through a broken window. But the fig tree's root keeps seeking water. Your practice is that root. It does not stop the storm, it decides where you grow. Imagine an earthen bowl with a broken line. You pour water. Through the crack a thin thread escapes, and as it falls it sounds like a bell. That crack is you. Do not hide it. It refines the music. Imagine a red thread from your heart to the earth. When fear climbs to your head, gently pull the thread downward. That imaginary gesture is a sensory anchor. It gives you weight back when thought turns you into smoke. Stories to recognize your own struggle. There was someone who lost job and name in the same email. They sat on the kitchen floor and breathed like one counts coins. 4 in, 6 out. They made a small vow, today I won't insult myself. They wrote on a paper 3 things that still depended on their hands. They called a friend and spoke the decent phrase, I need to talk. I'm not looking for solutions now. That night, they did not sleep well, but they did not add poison. The next day, they sent a single message to a single person. I can help with this. And the job did not return immediately. The pulse did. The wall did not disappear. A door appeared. There was someone who was left alone all at once. The bed felt like a foreign country. The house, a museum of minutes. They began a survival liturgy. Each dawn, a glass of water. The name of the one who left, spoken without theatre. A short walk without headphones. A notebook to write 3 lines a day. This hurts. Today I walked. Today I breathed when the wave came. After 40 days, they discovered the pain had not gone, but it had learned not to scream in their ear all the time. That person found a refuge that did not erase the absence. It made it habitable. There was someone who feared the world, and then feared their own fear. They decided their practice would be helping one person each day without telling anyone. A seat given up, a door held, an honest message, soup in a thermos. Nothing heroic. Those gestures were their way to remember that life is not only what happens to oneself. A year later, the fear remained, but it did not rule. The refuge had taken the shape of the street. Cognitive judo, phrases that change collapse's script. The mind says, if this isn't fixed now, I won't be able to go on. You answer, I don't need to fix everything to be able to breathe now. The mind says, I failed, that's why life punishes me. You answer, this hurts, and even so, I am worthy of care. The mind says, I have no way out. You answer, I don't see a way out now, I'll keep looking while I breathe. The mind says, if I loosen, I'll sink. You answer, if I breathe, I stop sinking. Small protocols for brutal days. 3-minute protocol. Sit, feet on the floor, 4 inhales, 6 exhales, hands on the chest, brief phrase, I'm with you. Repeat 3 times, 10-step protocol, walk counting to 10 and start again. In each set, softly name what you see. Tree, corner, dog, cloud, that steals fuel from rumination. Minimal notebook protocol, 3 lines each night. What happened, what I learned, what I'll do differently tomorrow. Close the notebook. No more arguing. Asking for help protocol. Write a short message to one person. This is how I am today. I'd appreciate hearing your voice. Send it. Do not edit your humanity. Doctrinal depth without adornment. Refuge in Buddhism is named in 3 directions. In the teaching, in the community, in the lucidity that awakens. Today, in this city, you can translate it thus. I take refuge in the truth of things, as they are even when they hurt. I take refuge in those who practice with me, even if I do not know them. I take refuge in my mind's capacity to understand and to let go. This does not require a temple. It is enough to sit and admit the real without makeup. That honesty is an altar. The common enemy. The enemy is not the world. It is the way our mind clings to the world being as it had planned. The enemy is not the emotion. It is the story we add to justify harm. The enemy is not fear. It is the shame of being afraid. Name them and you strip their title. Fear keeps you from precipices. Shame pushes you to jump so as not to seem weak. We choose the first guardian. We dismiss the second. When everything collapses, the body asks for anesthesia or war. Practice offers something else. Presence. It is not comfortable, but it is fertile. With presence you can cry without breaking, speak without wounding as much, be silent without disappearing, decide without selling your name. Let us now take a slower walk through the 5 keys, as if they were urban psalms. Body anchor, feel the contact of your feet with the ground. Do not think it, feel it. The ground has no opinion about you. It holds you. That is already a lot. Inhale 4, exhale 6. If you can, add a pause of 2 before and after. 4, 2, 6, 2. The heart learns another music. It is a school without exams. Looking at the cause, write on a paper, fact, story, possible action. Under fact, one sentence. Under story, the theatre you are telling yourself. Under possible action, something small that can be done in an hour. Tear up the story paper, keep the action one. This is how you honor truth without drowning in it. Small vow, choose one today, only one. Let it be humble and measurable. I don't answer in the heat of the moment. I walk before deciding. I turn off screens an hour before bed. I call and say, I need help. The vow is your climber's rope. It does not boast. It saves. Compassion as a tool. Place your hand on your chest. Repeat, may this mind find a little rest. Then widen, may those who are like me today also find rest. You are not invoking saints. You are strengthening a muscle that connects you and turns down the volume of the wounded self. That muscle is called kindness, meaning that does not depend on winning. Today, do what lessens harm. If you can help, help. If you cannot, do not hinder. If you are too broken for either, breathe and do not insult yourself. Your intention is your intimate reputation. It accompanies you when no one is watching. Objects and gestures that add up. A glass of water upon waking and another before bed. A plant you water even if the world burns. A window opened for 5 minutes. A made bed as an act of rebellion against chaos. A bowl where you leave the key to your worries before lying down, even if only symbolic. The brain loves rituals. In them it rests from its own noise. The 4 reminders that calm. Everything changes. Everything hurts sometimes. Everything has causes. Everything can be understood and released. Not as a slogan, but as practice. Repeat them until they stop being phrases and become reflexes. Doubt appears. And what if these keys are not enough for me? The honest answer, some nights they are not. And yet their absence never helps. Practicing them does not guarantee a happy ending, it guarantees dignity along the way. And in a collapsing world, dignity is a lamp, closing like an echo returning. I renounce beating myself up for feeling. I renounce inventing stories that enlarge the wound. I renounce reactions that multiply harm. I renounce forgetting that others suffer too. I renounce living only when I win. I affirm. I choose to breathe when everything burns. I choose to see the real without makeup. I choose a small vow that holds me up. I choose compassion as a working tool. I choose a meaning that does not depend on the outcome. Now, for a few seconds, let us close our eyes together. Inhale, slowly counting to 4, brief pause. Exhale, counting to 6, brief pause. Feel your feet. Name what you feel without judgment. Warmth, weight, pulse. Place a hand on your chest. Repeat, I'm with you. Imagine, even for a moment, that hundreds of people are breathing at the same time in this city, each one with their silent collapse. Send them all this line, may you find ground, keep your mouth soft, let the night learn you. When you open your eyes, the world may be the same. You will not be. You will have learned to be a refuge. Share this teaching with someone who's in the midst of tremors today, not for proselytizing, but for humanity. Inner peace is not a luxury, it is a common good. And if this path helps you, walk with us. Subscribe to keep building in the midst of asphalt, that small monastery that fits in the breath and in the word that does not wound. Because there are storms that last, but there are lamps that do not go out. And that lamp, humble and stubborn, is you when you choose to be your refuge.